Alright, just a quick note. Obviously I laid the thing down intending to go ahead and put thermal paste on this guy and drop the... Where'd I put that damn thing? Drop the CPU block on it with thermal paste, take off the removal, whatever. You can see some of my blood there. That's my blood off of that cut. I guess the edges of this actual heatsink here are just super duper sharp or some shit, I don't know. Anyway, labor of love. TLDR on this little piece of the video is I'm not going to put thermal paste and mount this on there yet because ultimately I'm going to be taking this back off to paint it. So that's where I am. I'm just going to mount this on. I'm going to get some of my fittings for the loop on there. I need to rearrange the orientation of this thing because right now the ports in and out, they need to be here, but unfortunately they're in between the fans and this on that surface underneath. I just didn't think of it when I was mounting it on there. I was too focused on getting the spacing right. I was so psyched when this actually worked. So I'm gonna have to take this stuff, at least these mounts apart, rotate this 90 degrees, get my ports, water ports facing the correct direction. And I'm gonna cut some cable, get all the fitting, rather cut some tubing, get all the fittings on, probably not in that order, and connect it up. And then ultimately fill this thing with water and see if the pump works and see if I can manage this water cooling stuff. This is all new to me as of like 2 weeks ago. In the last 2 weeks I basically got the idea that I was pulling the trigger on this shit and I built it, and here we are. So first time I'm doing any of this water cooling stuff. Hope you guys are enjoying, and you know, I'm sure most people are like watching me who have done this shit before, and there are several like, you dumbass moments, and I'm cool with that because I'm gonna get to use this fat bitch when it's done and you're not. So nothing's broken so far, which rocks. No DOA parts, power supply works, GPU works, processor works. I'm hoping the fans work, and I'm hoping this guy works, but that's really after the fact. You know, the hardest physical tests are done, in my opinion. Nothing was DOA, nothing has to be RMA'd, returned to the manufacturer. So here we go, time for the water cooling stuff. Alright, so I've got the basics connected. I got some of the extensions and T-splitter. This is going to be my drain, effectively. And I'm probably going to use this as a drain as well when I need to. At this point, right there. And I've got some hardware connected up here. So basically, it's the business, actually. So I took this off and reoriented this 90 degrees so that my fluid ports are here on this side. Remounted it. That guy is going to come up to this guy. This guy, theoretically, I'm a little nervous about this after seeing it. I was, in my design, I didn't really have a proper measurement for the front of the case. After the fact, I found it on overclock.net, and basically my design had 2 centimeters extra out here that I thought I had to work with. Plus I thought I'd be able to mount this farther up, and that is not the case. We'll see if I can maybe drill 2 more holes here and get some extension. My worry is that the distance between here and the back of the card is going to be very short horizontally. So I may need a 90 degree here and a 90 degree here. Right now I just have a 45. It's going to be going out of the GPU to connect this point to this point on the graphics card. But basically, like, the horizontal space is so small. Not excited about this. And just to properly vocalize it, the tubing that I'm using is the largest diameter possible, which allegedly is the most durable when it comes. It can manage the tightest turns without kinking, right? The widest diameter, interior diameter tubing can manage the smallest radius before kinking. However, this distance, I mean, you can see it. It's not freaking much. You know, regular scissors for scale. Yeah, this might be tricky. I may have to drill into this guy, which I'm fully prepared to do. But that's where my head is. So right now I'm just going to get this out and make sure that nothing is foobar on it. What is this? Oh, a single bracket. Hello? Hello? Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do, well, I'm just inspecting this to make sure that it's legitimate and not broken, so I'll be back in a second. Looks good from here. Alright, folks, so let's see. Since the last edit earlier, a couple hours ago, I guess, I got into the beginnings of the water cooling loop. And a big part of that is the graphics card. It's going to go here. The water is going to come out from the CPU into the GPU and then back into the reservoir and pump. So in order to build this out, I have to build this out. Oh, and I went ahead and opened the water block for the Vega Frontier Edition. Opening the Vega, so if you're unaware, you know, I accidentally put it down on some little screws I had removed, so now I got some scratches on the face of it, but I'm not using this entire enclosure. Like 90% of the graphics card visually is not necessary, so, well, if you're doing water cooling. So the process to get this guy off was fairly simple, with the exception of, let's see, which screws were the hardest ones to get out? The screws on this, which basically straddle the chip, were a pretty big pain in the ass. The screws in the back plate came out easily enough. FYI, they all have a drop of Loctite. You can see the blue on there. The smaller screws did not have Loctite, but there they are. This is the new bracket. This is the old one. A couple screws are attached to that, and then these guys will go into each connecting port. These do have Loctite, I think. Anyway, I did have to go to the hardware store and get the T6. Come on now. Can we focus? Hello? Any chance? No chance. Okay. Had to get a T6 screw. Rather screwdriver. Can we see that? Maybe you can make out. Oh, that's shitty. Okay, sorry. Well, it's not a Phillips head or a normal flathead. It is a Torx TORX number 6. And I had to go and get a new little set. I needed a set anyway with higher quality. I've been using these generic guys for a super long time, and they were not getting the job done anyway. I was scared of stripping some of the smaller screws. It was not enjoyable getting enough force on those screws to turn them and break the Loctite. There were a couple super shady moments when I thought I'd strip the screw head, but thankfully that was not the case. It took a while, but I got it. Went ahead and cleaned. Oh, there are two connections, mind you. There's this wire and this wire connecting here and here. They're kind of a bitch to get off, but you'll figure it out. They don't have clips that you just brute force them out of their housings, seemingly. That's what worked for me. Next up, this comes with thermal padding, stickers basically. So you've got to use Q-tips, right, and alcohol to clean off. This was covered, so this is the bit that was touching it, and this looked similar to that previously. So cleaned it off with alcohol and a Q-tip, and then cut all of these to length. Half of these are 1 millimeter thick, the other half are half a millimeter thick, and it does matter which one goes where. The ½ inch goes on the interior components, the full, rather ½ millimeter, the full millimeter goes on the exterior components. So they're two-sided, doesn't matter which side is which. Just make sure you peel off the business. There's a protective film on both sides. So that's where I am. I'm just going to finish up peeling off the protective cover on each of these, and I'm going to get this the rest of this guy put together and keep working on the cooling loop. Yeah.